Hello, BookTube. I'm here with a wrap up of New World's November 2022. This was the second year of the reading event to celebrate science fiction, short form science fiction, short stories, novellas, novelettes, and novels 250 pages or less. This was created last year by the Bookish Bryants, and I was a host this year as well as last year during its first year. Last year, I didn't quite complete it all. I had a medical emergency in the midst of things, but this year I did a lot better, and it was very enjoyable. And it also was coupled with the first month of Hal for the Holidays, an event to celebrate the science fiction writing of Hal Clement, created by Brandy at the Booklectic, and I'm a co-host of that as well. So I combined a couple things here and there. The first week, the weeks of the month were divided into prompts. First week was extraterrestrial. Second week was no, sorry. The first week was terrestrial. Second week was extraterrestrial. Third week, work of classic science fiction, 1965 or before. Week four, robots slash AI. There were a number of sub themes or scavenger hunts to try to find. Alien archaeology, alien romance, translated work, alternate world slash dimensions, far future, war slash military, genre crossing, first contact, time travel, invasion, humorous, political, and libraries, with extra credit, a visit to a parallel universe, where you read a story or a book and watch, listen to whatever of its adaptation into a different medium. That could be radio play or film, TV, even an audiobook, which is an interpretation of it as well. Even if it's read, unabridged word for word, it's still the reader is interpreting it through their voice to a certain extent. And also, I think some have thought of comic book. I don't know if anybody did comic book, or even game. Video game would be an interpretation or an adaptation of a story. That sort of thing. As I said, I've really enjoyed this, and I must thank the Bookish Bryants for inviting me again this year to co-host. And as I say, it's the Bookish Bryants created this, Scott and Becky. Steve Donahue was a co-host, and I'll just go through all the co-hosts. Michael K. Vaughan, Brandy at the Booklectic, Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads, Jim Reads Too Slow, Mark at Book Time with Elvis, Chris at Unlimited Reads, Matt at Science Fiction Reads, Nathan at The Rambling Reviewer, Fred at Read by Fred, Gareth at Books, Songs, and Other Magic, and Bob's Books. I'll list everybody below as well. Now, what did I read? I'll just quickly go through everything before I get to the sort of wrap up of week four. The first week for terrestrial, I read quite a few. The first thing that I read was a buddy read with Becky at the Bookish Bryants and Nathan at the Rambling Reviewer. And it was a reread for me, but it was Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke, written in 1954 or 55. I'm blanking on the exact year. And that had for sub themes. Well, that took place on Earth, but that had sub themes of first contact, and there was a smidgen to do with a library in there, an occult library. Not really integral. Well, it was part of the plot, part of not so much the plot, but part of the story, but very small. Very little, if no, military, and that was sort of about it. I guess you could stretch. I don't know. Can you stretch time travel to time dilation, where somebody is traveling at the speed of light that disappear, travels for a month, but 80 years pass in sort of the real world. that is a type of time traveling. You're going, yeah, it is and it isn't. So I'll leave that as a maybe. Um, and then I read a couple things, and for Hell for the Holidays, I read Needle by Hal Clement, 1949-50, originally published, and Through the Eye of Needle by Hal Clement, that was published in 1978. Now, these are first contact with an alien species, and there was a library in the second book, and there was a bit of action that was happening in the library, so I'll include that as a library. Um, Let me see here. Oh, genre crossing. Well, I'm gonna say yes. If juvenile books are a genre in themselves, I'm not gonna say a young adult with these because this was way before the term was ever thought of, or at least as far as I know, and it's more juvenile material, and with a smidgen of humor here or there, but very very light on the humor. Um, I also read Clifford D. Simak's The Goblin Reservation, which is in quite far future. So that's one that's set in the far future, an undetermined sort of time, more or less. There are a library is featured heavily in this. There is time travel in there as well, um, and it was humorous. There definitely was humor in the book as well. Let's see. What else did I read? I read some short stories. I read Clifford D. Simak's uh, Grotto of the Dancing Deer, which had archaeology in, um, and I read Hal Clement's two first stories, Proof and um, Impediment. Impediment was First Contact and Learning of Language, and I also read Ted Chiang's A Story of Your Life, which was also First Contact and Learning a Language. Proof was it was straddling between just like uh, terrestrial and extraterrestrial, because there was the first part of it was set extraterrestrial on the sun. Um, there might have been something. Oh, the I read Farewell to the Master by Harry Bates, which that's where I visited a parallel uh, universe, and I read the story, and then I compared it to Day the Earth Stood Still. That was in 1930. Ooh, no, it's 1940 maybe. I can't remember now, but it's late 30s, early 40s. Was the story that appeared in Astounding. And then in 1951, a film was made called Day the Earth Stood Still from it. And that definitely had First Contact. Um, let's see here. Um, there was some military in it, but it's very, very, very light military in that. Um, it was definitely political. There's political aspects to it, for sure, and there was political aspects to um, uh, the Goblin Reservation by Clifford Simak as well. Week two, also I read Flesh by Philip Jose Farmer, and yeah, and so week two was uh, Extra-Terrestrial, and I read oh, I'm blanking on the name. I read Across a Billion Years by Robert Silverberg, and that was set in not too far in the future. I don't think so. I wouldn't say far future, but it definitely had alien archaeology. Um, and again, genre crossing, if I can use that with the juvenile. It was a juvenile story, but it was a little more than that. But there had juvenile aspects of it to it. Uh, and for some reason, I'm blanking on anything else I read that week. But week 3 was classic science fiction, and I read World of no, what is it? Uh, I'm trying. The Long Tomorrow. That's it, by Lee Brackett. Published in 1955. Post-apocalyptic. Um, I'm just trying to see what else, if there was anything else. It was there was political aspects to it. Definitely, there was political aspects to it. Um, uh, Now, I wouldn't say genre crossing. It's more of a subgenre because it was post-apocalyptic slash dystopian. Um, and yeah, that's sort of about it. And then I read Jack Finney's The Body Snatchers, also written in 1955, and that had Invasion. That was Invasion, First Contact with Alien, and um, yeah, that's about it. I think for those. Now we come to week 4, which is robots and AI. Now, I decided to couple this up with my future history project by Isaac Asimov, and there is a trilogy that's written by not Isaac Asimov, but set in the universe. Is Roger McBride Allen's trilogy of robot mysteries. This was Caliban, 1993. I want to say, yeah, 1993 was the first one. The second one was Inferno, and that was 1994. And at the time of recording, I'm still reading Utopia, but I will be done sort of not too long from now. Well, in a day or so. And this was it's the final book, but it's robots, robot, and this is 1996. Um, oh yes, I also read Android's Orchid by Damien Lutz. Very short story um, about basically a Android Alexa. Basically, it's an Android that does shopping for a company, and the guy, the owner, or sort of the renter of this device, decides to sort of free it from its sort of confines and connectivity to the manufacturer, or the company that sort of owns it. But there is sort of a murder type thing that happens in it. Um, I don't think any of the sub themes work with this. No, none of the sub themes there work. But I also read Lulu by Clifford D. Simak, and I did visit a parallel universe for this because it was in 1957. It was adapted for X minus one, or is it Dimension X? X minus one, I think. I can't find my book here. Either it's X minus one, I think, and a radio program, and it's about a robotic or an AI spaceship that falls in love with its crew. So is that alien romance? Um, it's romance, definitely, and humorous. It definitely was humorous. It doesn't really. I'm not sure about far future, but yeah. So that's what I've read for New Worlds November, and it not as much as I had hoped to. There was about 3 or 4 other books that I wanted to read, but I didn't get around to. But yeah, so it was a good month, even so. And I did Alien Archeology. Alien Romance, well, not quite so much. I would have, because I wanted to read Philip Jose Farmer's The Lovers, and that would have fit in perfectly for that. I did not read any translated works that I was aware of. Uh, Alternate World slash Dimensions. I don't think I did that. Far Future, yes. Not so much war, but there was a bit of military in a couple of things. Genre crossing, that's debatable. First Contact, definitely. Time Travel, definitely. Invasion, definitely. Humorous, definitely. And Political, definitely. So, genre crossing, military, alternate worlds, translated works, and alien romance. So, I got. Let me see. I did. So I did 8 out of the 13. I think that's right, if I counted correctly there. So that's not too bad. I wasn't really, I was trying to find a few things, but I wanted to concentrate a lot on the archaeology, but I found that was very difficult to do. But yeah, that is New Worlds November 2022. A very, very enjoyable month. And I'm still not finished it because I'm recording this early, and it will be posted on the 30th, the last day of the month. So yeah, I'm looking forward to next year's New Worlds November as well. Thank you, BookTube.